Hello, everybody. Jamie Trull here. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy, what day is it? Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I am in summer brain mode. I don't know about you guys, but I have no idea what time it is at any point in time, I feel like. Okay, so today we're going to do a stimulus Q&A. It's been a while since we've done one of these. So hopefully you guys are here. I'll give you a little bit of an update. I'll tell you a couple of important things. But what you have probably noticed is that we have not been doing as many of these, and that's for a few reasons. Number one, we're kind of coming out of the world of things changing constantly. And so that is that is a good thing. That is a good thing. It seems like we're coming out of, the craziest time of COVID as well. And so things are just not changing, but they are changing a little bit. And so I think that there are still things that we need to update and be aware of. We also, at Balance CFO, my company, are shifting our content back to more our pre-COVID content. So what does that mean? Well, I'm a CPA, financial literacy coach, and profit strategist. And last year, we kind of pivoted the business away from that because there was a need of our audience to really dive into a lot of these support programs to kind of get people through the toughest times with COVID and get back on track. And hopefully for most of you, I know that there are still several businesses that are struggling or really trying to make up for what happened previously. But I also know that a lot of businesses are getting back to kind of whatever this new normal is. And so I want to go back to my bread and butter, what I know the best, which is teaching you guys about financial literacy, the basics of finance, accounting, and taxes, and also profit strategy. So what does that mean? That means really being able to maximize your profit, pay yourself more, really achieve the dreams you have in your business, and really step into your role as CFO of your own business. So you're going to see my content has been moving that way and will continue to move that way, but I still want to be here to show up for you guys that still want to have more guidance around the stimulus stuff. I know we still have things to really, kind of tie up in a bow and be done with, like PPP forgiveness. There are still programs out there that I want to make sure you guys know about, because some of them you can go back, like our ERTC, the Employee Retention Tax Credit, and you can go back and claim that even if you missed it the first time. So there's a lot of things like that that are still out there. There's some changes with the EIDL that I want to make sure you guys are aware of. So I'm going to still continue to show up here to make sure that you are aware of all of the fun stuff. But I hope you stick around for some of the other things that we're going to be doing here as well, going back to what I know and love and teaching you guys about financial literacy. So hi, Sarah, tell me you're here when you get here. Hopefully everything is working. And then I'm going to jump into some updates. And there are some actually pretty important updates that I want you to know about. Really quick, hang on. My dog is barking. Come here. Hang on. We're gonna get a treat today. All right. Usually I kick him out for my lives, but he's gonna get to come and join it. So hi, you can't hardly see him probably. Say hi, this is Deacon. He's my buddy. He just hangs out in here usually most of the day while I'm working. So you're gonna get some Deacon love today. Say hi. Hi. So let's talk about, which program do we want to talk about? Well, first I want to talk about the fact that I think one of the things that has been most useful in this process has been being able to see other people's, what's happening with other people, how they are, how long things are taking for them. So whether that's PPP forgiveness, whether that's getting their employee retention tax credit back, whether that's getting their EIDL loan increase or their targeted advance, then I think it's really, really helpful to see what's happening with other people. So I've started new this morning in the Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners Facebook group, which hopefully all of you guys are in. In that group, I've started new threads. So if you are watching me on Facebook, you should see links to those threads where you're watching this, where you can go update and then go, bookmark that post and come back and watch people's responses, because I really want to gather, how is everything how is it going with everyone else? And can we share information that will help people, right? So people are sharing their timelines around, how long it's taking to get some of this relief, because some of it is taking a little while, you guys. I mean, it feels kind of silly because in some cases, like these EIDL advances are taking months, and these EIDL loan increases, for those of you guys who requested the EIDL loan increases. They're taking a long time too. So know that it's not just you, but I think it's really helpful to go and check. And I've linked all of those. If you're watching me on Facebook, you should see all those links, and then you can go over and update your timelines so that other people can see it. And then also, like I said, bookmark that post, keep coming back to it to see what's going on with other people. If you are curious, I think it's really helpful to be able to benchmark against what's happening with the community and help one another. So the other thing that I want to talk about is, if you haven't checked out my stimulus resources, I've also linked that, jamietrull.com/stimulus resources. I have calculators. I have all kinds of things out there to help you. And they're all super low cost, just something to be able to assist you with the EIDL, with the ERTC. If you are an employer and you have not looked at the Employee Retention Tax Credit, ERTC, I need you to go do that. And I need you to go buy my calculator and watch the video that comes with it, which will help explain exactly what you need to do in order to start to claim this credit, because it can be worth $7,000 per employee per quarter for 2021. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And all you have to be able to show in a lot of cases is just at least a 20% decrease in your gross receipts from 2021 to 2019. So that's a really important one. So again, go to the stimulus resources, and there's a lot of good information out there. We also have some new PPP webinars. So they're not ones that I did. It's another preferred vendor of mine, Hannah Smolinski. A lot of you guys know her. She's also a YouTuber. She's fantastic. She has been doing these webinars. So she just did one in June that was for PPP forgiveness for people who have under $50,000. And she did that webinar. You can go buy it. You can purchase and watch the webinar. It comes with a whole bunch of great resources as well. And she's going to be doing one at the end of July that you can go ahead and buy and save your seat for. That is for loans that are between basically $50,000 and $150,000. And there are some things with those loans that get a little tricky, specifically when it goes to your FTE calculation. Okay, so I need everybody to make sure that they're aware of what they need to do with that. So make sure to go and check out Hannah's links. They are over in the jamietrull.com/stimulus resources. You can see all of that. Okay, hang on. I'm going to put him out the door because he's a little bit, he doesn't really feel like being live today. So say bye, Deacon. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm back. Go figure. Let's see. Now he's probably going to start barking. That's my guess. Okay, so one of the main things that I want to talk to you guys about, sorry, trying to fix my hair and doing the wrong side. One of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the EIDL. So that is something that is really important. I'm specifically talking about the grants, the advances. They have different names. Now, tune in, because one thing that was for a long time, basically, if you didn't apply for the EIDL loan and therefore the EIDL grant, right, last year, you were out of luck. Too bad, so sad, you can't get it. That's not true anymore. So if you have never applied for an EIDL loan/advance, new businesses can now apply. You have to meet some criteria in order to be eligible for it. I'm going to show you what that is. Okay, but if you missed the boat and you're like, man, I wish I had known about this. Well, it's open. Okay, it is open for businesses that did not apply previously. Now, let me show you. You still have to meet some of the low income requirements and things like that. So I'll show you what you have to do to be able to be eligible. But that is something that's really important to know. So let me find. So a lot of this information, and I'll kind of share it here. When you go to the SBA.gov website, there's a whole section on COVID relief. If you haven't explored it, it is really worth your while, because there may be things that you're not aware of. But if you go into EIDL, it talks about the targeted EIDL advance and supplemental targeted EIDL advance. So let's make sure, just really quick to clarify, the EIDL is a loan, the economic injury disaster loan. They did it for COVID. They also do it for things like tornadoes, things like that. But this is specifically for COVID. And with that, what they did last year was they said, okay, if you apply for an EIDL loan, right, an actual loan that you do have to pay back, you also can be eligible to get an advance or a grant, right? Which means you could get up to $10,000. Last year was how this started. And they kind of arbitrarily decided to give $1,000 per employee. And then they kind of changed how this is done multiple times. But ultimately you could get this advance. And that was whether or not you actually accepted the loan. So that was something really, we weren't sure at the beginning. It was kind of this like, okay, do you have to accept the loan to get the grant? And how does this work? And, crazy things like that. Well, ultimately you could turn down the loan. If you don't want to have a loan, you don't need a loan, but the advance would be super helpful, right? This up to $10,000, then you could do that. So then they rolled out kind of a few different things. So there's a targeted, so there was the original EIDL advance. Then there was a targeted EIDL advance, which basically took people who qualified up to the full 10,000. And then the supplemental targeted advance, which was another 5,000 on top of that. So if you met criteria, you could get up to $15,000. Now, again, if you had applied, it used to be that you had to have applied last year, and sorry, you're out of luck if you didn't apply. But it is open, you guys. If you want to go in and apply, if you never did and you never got that advance and you were kicking yourself for it, and you meet the criteria, which we're going to go over here in a minute, I want you to go and apply. Okay? All right. So when you look at this targeted EIDL advance and supplemental targeted advance, I just want to read this real quick because program overview. Applicants for the COVID-19 EIDL may be eligible to receive up to $15,000 in funding from the SBA that does not need to be repaid. Okay? These advances are similar to a grant, but without the typical requirements that come with a U.S. government grant. So we're calling them grants because we're just meaning they don't need to be repaid. So if you hear advance or grant, it basically means the same thing. We're getting a little technical here, but okay, to receive an advance, you must first apply for a COVID-19 EIDL loan, economic injury disaster loan. You have to apply for the loan. You do not, this is important, you do not need to accept the loan to be approved or be approved for the loan to receive an advance. You don't even need to be approved, right? If you have terrible credit, you can still get the advance. Once you apply for the loan, the SBA will invite you via email to apply for one of the advance programs if your business is located in a low income area. So that is key. You do have to be in a low income area. There is a map that shows you. So before you apply, check the map. So this is, I'm going to put this in here so that you guys have this in the comments. I'm putting this in here. Hopefully this is going to show up on all of them with the link to where it is, or you can just go to sba.gov and navigate to the EIDL Advanced Program section, okay? It's under the EIDL loan. So you're going to check the map. You're going to see if you qualify. You're going to put in your address. It's going to tell you whether or not you're in a low-income area. The map is awful. It is one of the flaws of this. There are people who will be right across the street from being in a low-income area. I don't know how they put this thing together. It is not fair by any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of this stuff hasn't been. It's kind of been luck of the draw in some instances. This is no different. But it does say don't submit duplicate EIDL applications. If you've already submitted one, then don't submit another one. This is for people who have not applied for it yet. So what are the other criteria if you're going to get this loan? Well, the other criteria, they're a little different. So the targeted is up to 10,000, okay? The targeted will give you up to 10,000. So you got to be in a low-income community based on that map. You have to demonstrate more than a 30% reduction in revenue during an 8-week period beginning on March 2nd, 2020 or later. So like basically you're going to look at an 8-week period. Let's see. They're going to ask you to provide your monthly gross revenue. So that's the total amount that came into your business, right? All forms combined, and they're going to confirm a 30% 8-week reduction. Okay, so during an 8-week period, they're going to kind of compare 8 weeks versus 8 weeks to see if you've had that decline, and you have to have 300 or fewer employees for the targeted for the first 10,000. Okay, so that's kind of the first level of criteria. The second one, again, this is open. This is now open to people who never applied before. There's actually quite a bit of funding left. They're taking a while. So those of you who already applied for this and you're still waiting, they are taking a while, but it is starting to speed up. I'm expecting in July, we're going to see a lot more people getting their targeted and their supplemental advances. Okay. So then let's go to the supplemental target advance. That's the extra 5,000, right? So if you got that 10,000, if you qualified for that, you might also qualify for another 5,000. And that's a little bit more stringent. So instead of the 30%, you have to have a 50% economic loss during an 8-week period compared to the same period the previous year. So that's we're comparing, 8 weeks. Let's say you take June and July of 2020 versus June and July of 2019. You can that can be your comparison period, right? So they're basically just going to have you list all that monthly revenue. So you do need to have access to your monthly revenue in order to be able to do that. And for the big difference here too, for the supplemental for that extra 5,000 is that you have to have 10 or fewer employees. So remember it was 300 up here for the targeted for the first 10,000. It's only for 10 or fewer for the next 5,000. So it is available if you don't have any employees, sole proprietors, independent contractors, all those people. You can get up to $15,000 with this EIDL advance. It is starting to move more. There's some good information on here too. Basically, it's just saying how long will we have to wait? Undetermined. Undetermined, but I do know they hired a whole bunch of people recently too to help kind of get through this. So that's a really important update that I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of, because for a very long time, if you didn't apply last year, you were out of luck. And that's not the case anymore. You can go in and apply. And if you already did apply, let's say you already applied for EIDL loan, if you can navigate back to the portal where you applied, you can go see if you have an invitation to apply for this program waiting for you. You may have an invitation there that you don't even know is there. You probably would have gotten an email, but goodness gracious, I don't know if your email looks like mine. It's very easy to miss things. Also, just go into your email and search sba.gov and see if anything comes up, any emails that you may have missed. Additionally, you may have been invited to increase your loan amount. Obviously, be very judicious in doing that because that is a loan. Those are taking a while too. Those loan increases are taking a ridiculous amount of time to process. So if you applied months ago and still haven't heard anything, you are not the only one. And I want people who are looking at maybe getting an increase or maybe paying off their EIDL loan early, make sure that you have my EIDL loan calculator. It's a tracker and it's a calculator. It has everything that you need to make sure that you can track what you spent it on, because the SBA does have the right to come back and ask you. Okay, so you want to make sure you have good records. And also it has a calculator built in that can show you essentially how much interest you're going to pay over the life of your loan, how much interest you would pay if you paid part of it off early, how much interest you would pay if you took out a new added to it, right? If you got an increase in your loan. And also, if you haven't heard it, you probably know this by now, but if you don't, the EIDL loan, if you got it in 2020, originally it had a 1-year deferral. You didn't have to make payments for a full year. Now they've made it 2 years. So if you got it in 2020, it's 2 years. If you got it in 2021, it's now 18 months of a deferral. So if you're wondering, like, I haven't gotten any bills, should I be doing something here? It may be because that deferral has been increased, but you are still accruing interest on it. So that's something that has surprised people. Your loan balance is going up. Even though you're not paying on it, you are accruing interest on that amount. So make sure you get that EIDL calculator. Again, jamietrull.com/stimulus resources. It has resources there for PPP, for EIDL, for ERTC. Every 3 to 4 letter acronym out there. There is probably something to help you with it on that page. Let's see. Okay. So Jocelyn says, I got the EIDL last year, 1,000 advance, 90% reduction in revenue in a low income area and still no, go and check your portal. Go and check your portal. You should be able to request an increase if it sounds like you would qualify. So make sure to go to your portal, and see if it is giving you a spot. There's, it should. You can also reach out to sba.gov. I'm trying to remember what the, there is an email address if anybody has it and you drop it below, but there is an email address here. So go here and make sure to see if there's any, let's see, I'm looking for it. Okay, hang on. So that's, if you cannot find your invitation via email, here we go. I'm going to copy this for you. Here's what you need to do, Jocelyn, because we need to get you that thing. Okay, if you cannot find your invitation email, you can contact SBA's disaster customer service at, here's the phone number, or by email at targetedadvance@sba.gov to request a new invite. And then it says, please note that this process may take several business days. And what they mean by several business days is like several business weeks slash months. Okay, but this is what you need to do. If you're not sure, if you haven't got anything, send an email to targetedadvance@sba.gov or pick up the phone and call. It used to be that the wait times were kind of crazy, so calling wasn't a great idea. But as of late, I think they've gotten a lot better. So you can try calling and actually talking to someone if you want to, or just emailing, whatever you want to do. But I do recommend doing that because, yeah, you can get some extra money, right? Like, that's the thing here. Let's not leave money on the table that we could have. So again, that's a really EIDL. That's one that has had some significant changes. There are also some other programs on here I want you guys to be aware of when it comes to, additional, let's see, I'm looking back to the SBA.gov. So let me just show you really quickly, guys, if you're going to be looking. So when you go to SBA.gov, you're just going to go to COVID-19 relief options. It's going to talk about PPP, COVID-19 EIDL, shuttered venue grants. Okay. If you're a shuttered venue, if you're like a live music venue, check out the information there. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund, last I heard this was closed because they got overwhelmed with applications, but make sure that you're still watching this if you're a restaurant and you didn't get in on the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. SBA debt relief, if you have other SBA debt, they were basically, giving some reprieve to borrowers. And then this is like, if you're like, basically with all of these, you can do them. There's a lot of fear at the beginning of double dipping. If you do them right, you can generally take advantage of multiple of these programs. So that's something important to know as well. A lot of times you may have to reduce, like if you got the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, you have to subtract your PPP off of it, et cetera, et cetera. So there are some rules around it. But anymore, there's not as much of like the same exclusion of if you get this, you definitely can't get that. So that used to be the case with the Employee Retention Tax Credit too. If you got PPP, you couldn't get it. So a lot of people didn't pay attention to it. Now you can get both, and ERTC actually can be quite a bit bigger than PPP for a lot of businesses, especially if you employ a lot of people. So again, JamieTrull.com/stimulus resources. Pretty much every resource I sell also comes with a video to explain what you need to do. So make sure, I have templates and resources out there ranging from $7 to $27 for calculators. And like I said, if you want to take one of Hannah's webinars for PPP forgiveness, which I highly recommend, Hannah Smolinski, she's a preferred vendor, Clara CFO, she's also a YouTuber. Her information is on that page as well. Okay, what other questions do you guys have? Let's see. Yes. So the advances are requested in the same link to request the EIDL. Yep. So you're going to go here. You're going to apply for an EIDL loan. You do not have to accept that loan. That is not contingent on you getting an advance, but you do have to do the loan application. So the one thing to keep in mind is that probably will require, you probably will get a credit pull for applying for that loan. Okay. So I just want to make sure people are aware of that. But again, for $15,000, like that's not too bad of it. If you make sure that you will qualify for those advances, and for most people, I think that makes sense to do. Let's see. Oh goodness, they are taking so long. They are. It's based on how. Last I heard, they're doing it based on complexity. So the reason that your son has received both. Let's see, we filed mid-March and are still waiting on federal, but received our state, son's received both. He probably has a much simpler return. So if you have a more complex return, they are prioritizing them in order of complexity. So yes, it is taking a while. They are behind on everything. The IRS is behind on everything. There are people that I know who filed last year, especially if you filed paper last year, 2020, not 2020, for 2019, that still haven't gotten their returns. Holy moly. Let's see. So that's a really good point. So there was a whole uproar that happened based on like a news article I heard. I wasn't fully in the loop on what was going on, but there was like a couple of days where some reporter that had reported that it was going to be open to all businesses, including they were going to be taking off the low income. It's kind of been debunked since then that it was sort of like a misspeak. But that doesn't mean it's not possible in the future. So they do have a decent amount of funding. I think they're going to see how much funding they get through for these advances, and they might take off some of these qualifications. Maybe. I'm just saying, pay attention. Like, these are the things I think that most people are kind of going about. And again, we should be getting back to business. You guys. We don't want to be relying on the government for this stuff now. We need to get our businesses back moving again. Right? But again, keep your eyes open a little bit. Keep paying attention a little bit. And I'll try to be updating and make sure you're in the group. If you're not in my group, go to JamieTrull.com/group, because there's a lot of good conversations and we can keep you updated better in the group on what's going on. But you want to be aware because there could be something that changes like that you may have like totally stopped paying attention to any of this information, and that could actually give you another $15,000 in your pocket. So that's something that we will be kind of watching to see if anything changes. As of right now, no, you still have to be in a low-income area. It's very clear on the SBA.gov website. But after they've gone through this backlog, and if they still have funding left over, they may loosen those rules. Okay, so that's something important. They did that with, it used to be, well, you had to apply last year, but now they've opened it up because they have enough funding to be able to open it up to new applicants. Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, how's it going, Melanie? So as far as, yes, the EIDL Advance, you can use it for whatever you want. So it's not the same thing. The loan is a little bit of a different story. The loan has more kind of criteria around how you need to use it. The Advance, I'm telling people, yes, track what you use it for, right? But ultimately, there are not the stipulations. You're not signing anything even really for what you're going to use this advance for. Unlike the loan, which you have a whole, 20-page loan document on what you can and can't use it for, the advance is not that way. The advance is meant to be a grant. It doesn't have stipulations on it. It's good to keep track, just to have something in case you ever needed it to show like, look, I spent it in my business and I didn't buy a yacht with it. I don't know that how you would buy a $15,000 yacht, but you know what I mean. I do think it's good to do, but yeah, you don't have to worry about getting too crazy about like, is it, when does the time frame kick in or any of that with the advance. Let's see. If we qualify for ERTC in 2020 Q2 and Q4, but not in Q3, does it mean we just skip over Q3 and claim the other 2 quarters? So I would question whether you qualify in Q3 as well, because you can use the prior month, basically. So it depends on what you mean by if you qualify, right? So like if you qualified in Q2 because you had and this is 2020, so 2020 rules are kind of their own beast, but in 2020, qualifying in Q2 would mean you had a greater than 50% decrease. You would still qualify in Q3, even if you were back to normal, because you qualify for an entire quarter after the recovery period. So that recovery quarter would count. And then if you were under again in Q4, and that you'd only have to be under by 20% at that point, because you've already had a 50% down quarter. Anybody who's lost here, I've got several YouTube videos on ERTC. I've done webinars on ERTC for the NFIB. There's a lot of content out there, but go to my stimulus resources and you can check it out. But in general, most of the time, you're not going to qualify in Q2 and Q4. You probably qualify in Q3 as well. So get my calculator and it'll tell you if you do. So like I said, jamietrull.com / I'm just going to put it down here. jamietrull.com / stimulus resources, because Maxim, that will help you. It's only $27 and it has saved people hundreds of thousands of dollars in some instances. So I think it's worth $27. So make sure to grab it because it'll tell you exactly which quarters you actually do qualify for. You can qualify, remember, based on being either shut down during the time period or shut down, or you can qualify for being down a certain amount in gross receipts versus 2019. Okay, so you do qualify. So this is just a semantics, right? You do qualify, and I'm glad you have it. Yay. So you do qualify still in Q3 from the standpoint of you would be eligible. It's just once you subtract your PPP off of it, you may not have anything to claim, right? If you paid all your payroll with PPP, then you wouldn't have anything to claim. But there's a lot of room, especially if you have not filed for PPP forgiveness, there's a lot of room for optimization of ERTC versus PPP, because you would be surprised. You have a lot of choice for when you claim your PPP expenses, right? So you may even want to work with somebody, and I have somebody that is on my preferred vendor list, Christy Stone. You guys can find her on there. I may have her Calendly link here that she does. Here I have it. Consults for ERTC, and she helps people basically be able to, here we go. I'm going to put this up here, but Christy is consults on ERTC, and she helps people figure out, okay, how can I use my PPP over a particular period to claim particular wages, right? Because basically if you're paying certain wages with ERTC versus PPP, like You just have to make sure you're not double counting that, but there's a lot of room in there where you can optimize it. Oh no, yeah, she got really booked up. She got super booked up. Good news here though is you have time to do this. So you're going to be able to go back and claim ERC into the past, especially because you're looking at 2020, right? You're going to have time. There's plenty of time to be able to do that. I think you can amend your 941Xs for a couple of years. So yeah, we want to get it moving. But it's not a huge deal if you have to wait another month to be able to make sure it's optimized. She can help you do that. But I do recommend, or your accountant, right? And if you have an accountant that you work with that you trust that understands this stuff, hopefully if they're well-versed in these programs, which is a big if, but if they are, they can hopefully help you figure out, okay, how do we make sure that we're getting the maximum ERC and we're getting the maximum PPP forgiveness, right? That's what we want. So that is what I recommend. Okay. What else? I did want to mention really quickly, this isn't specifically stimulus related, but I think it is important. Child tax credit payments. If you are eligible for child tax credit payments, they're making advanced payments. What is this? Well, we've had the child tax credit for a while. We usually get it at the end of the year on our when we file our taxes, right? If you're under a certain income level, you get, it used to be $2,000 per child as a child tax credit. They're actually giving it early, or they're giving half of it early now. They've increased the amount, number one. So it's $3,000 for, older kids, I think older than 6. I always forget the exact cutoff. I think it's older than 6 gets $3,000. Under 6 gets $3,600. And they're going to give you half of that early in monthly payments starting in July. So you're going to get monthly payments in 2021 starting next, I believe, Thursday. And those are going to hit per kid. So if you have 4 kids that are, 6 and above, you might end up with $1,000 dropped into your bank account next Thursday. And I don't want anybody wondering what's going on. On the IRS website now, they do have a way for you to update your direct deposit information. You can also opt out, but you can't opt out for this month. If you opt out now, it's going to be for August. There's only a couple of instances because a lot of people are worried about, like, is this going to make me have to pay a bunch back when I do my taxes? No, probably not, unless you normally owe taxes. If you normally owe on your taxes, you might want to opt out. If you normally get a refund, I'd rather take that money now versus later. The only couple of caveats around when I would probably opt out here are if you made a heck of a lot more money in 2021 and you may be above the income limits, right, for getting the child tax credit, then you might want to opt out because then you'd have to pay it back later. Or if your kid turns 18 during 2021, you may still get your child tax credit payments, but you're not really going to be able to take that credit. So you might want to opt out then. And if you have like a split custody situation where you are switching back and forth who claims the kids, then you might want to opt out. But in most cases, or again, like if you tend to owe taxes at the end of the year, owe a bunch in taxes, then you might want to opt out. Especially like for some business owners, maybe if you're not necessarily paying in all your estimated taxes, that could be a way to just opt out of that. And then that will help you not be as under when it comes tax time and owe as much. But for the most part, I'm like, heck, give me the money now. I'd rather take that money now and be able to use it versus having to wait another, who the heck knows? Because a lot of people are still waiting on their 2021 refunds, right? Or their 2020 refunds, and it's July. So give me that money now. I'm not letting the government earn interest on my money. It's fine. Okay, guys. So that is all the info I think I have today. Again, we're going to keep talking about this a little bit in the group, but we're also really pivoting to more, financial literacy topics around accounting, finance, and taxes for small business owners, and also around profit strategy. So how to make more money. You guys, and not necessarily how to make more money by just like chasing all the clients, but how to make more money by valuing your time, controlling your cash, really all the things, outsourcing the things that you need to outsource. Those are all the things that we talk about here. So I'm glad that you're here. I hope you stay tuned for all the great things that we have coming, and I hope you enjoy your summer. I'm again out next week. So I feel like it's kind of been a week in, a week out this summer, but it's been kind of nice. I think after COVID, I don't know about you, but I basically just put all like 2 years worth of vacations into like 6 weeks, I guess. I don't know. So we're going on, I don't know, they're not all necessarily vacations, but trip number 5 starts on Saturday, which we're going to the North Woods of Wisconsin, you guys. That'll be a fun one. But we're going to do a stopover in the Dells. So yeah, money now, right, April? I'll take money now over money later. Okay, guys, y'all are awesome. You're my faves. I will not be back next week. But then we're coming back the week after, and we're coming in hot. We're going to be coming in hot at the end of July and into August with lots of great new stuff for you. So make sure that you are sticking around and joining us. I will talk to you guys later. I hope it was helpful. Bye, guys.